2006, a man with a thick mustache and a cheap grey suit threw the world into a spiral.
King in the castle, king in the castle.
His name is Sacha Baron Cohen, and for over 2 decades, he's made a career out of pulling off the most outrageous pranks in history. The kind of stuff that makes you wonder if he's got a death wish, or how he's still walking free.
Are you fucking serious?
He's the man behind Borat, Brüno, Ali G, The Dictator, and the show Who is America. And he may just be the craziest comedian of the 21st century. He's been chased by mobs, followed by the FBI, and sued over 150 times. And if that wasn't enough, an entire country launched a multi-million-dollar campaign just to try to silence him. Yet through it all, he kept going.
I'll touch you, I'll make you a homosexual, you drop that gun right now, USA, okay. USA.
His pranks got bolder, the stakes got higher, and the fallout got bigger. But the danger, the lawsuits, and the chaos were never accidents. They were the point. Because Sacha Baron Cohen wasn't just trying to get laughs. He wanted to hold up a mirror to show the world what people were willing to say when they thought no one was watching. This is the story of how a shy kid from London became the most fearless and most sued comedian in history. Sacha Baron Cohen was born on October 13, 1971 in London, to a devout Jewish family. His father, Gerald, owned clothing stores, and his mother, Daniela, worked as a movement instructor. Daniela was Israeli. Her parents had fled Nazi Germany. Sacha was the middle child of 3 sons, and Jewish identity wasn't just practiced in their household, it was everything. In 1990, Sacha got into Cambridge University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world, the same place that produced Charles Darwin and Stephen Hawking. He studied history at Christ College. For his undergraduate thesis, he focused on the Jewish participation in the American Civil Rights Movement. While researching how oppressed groups fought for dignity, Sacha stumbled onto something crucial. He realized that people reveal their true beliefs to those they perceive as beneath them or different from them. If you seemed foreign, unthreatening, or stupid, people dropped their masks. This insight would shape his entire career. He just didn't know it yet. At Cambridge, Sacha tried to join the Footlights, the legendary comedy club where Monty Python had started.
So I went to Cambridge purely to get into the comedy society, the Cambridge Footlights, got there, auditioned, and they rejected me. And not only did they reject me, but somebody on the Cambridge Footlights board came to my room and said, they will never let you in.
His style didn't fit their upper-class English definition of humor. He auditioned 3 times a year for 3 years and got rejected each and every time. The rejection stung, so Sacha spent the rest of his time at Cambridge doing dramatic acting instead. He performed in plays, taking on various lead roles, and he was good at it. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that his true calling was comedy. After graduating, he decided to pursue it properly. What if you could start earning a little extra cash just from your phone? That's where Free Cash comes in. It's a free platform that lets you earn real money by doing simple things, like completing surveys, testing apps, or playing mobile games. For example, I earned 50 cents just by downloading Digimint, and now I've started playing Monopoly Go, which has a ton of different rewards available. It's fun, easy, and a great way to make use of your downtime. Except this time, you're actually getting paid for it. What I like most is how fast it pays out. You can cash out as soon as you hit $20 instead of waiting for $100 like on other sites. Withdraw directly through PayPal, Bitcoin, or gift cards with instant payouts. The site's clean, simple to use, and has a big community of people all earning on the side. Free Cash is even rated 4.8 stars on Trustpilot, so it's something you can actually trust. You can also earn extra by using their referral system and inviting friends to join. To get started, all you need to do is sign up using my QR code on screen. You'll even get a $5 bonus on your first offer if you're in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, France, Germany, Austria, Italy, Switzerland, or the Netherlands. Don't miss out. Sacha moved to Paris and enrolled at the École Philippe Gaulier, one of the most prestigious clown schools in the world. This wasn't about red noses or juggling. Clown in this tradition meant something different. The art of making audiences laugh by being completely committed to something absurd. The clown believes entirely in what they're doing, even when it's ridiculous. That's what makes it funny. Under Gaulier, Sacha learned how to hold a silence too long, how to do something strange and never acknowledge it's strange, how to commit so completely to a character that other people don't know how to react. They just have to take you seriously. But when he returned to London, the path forward wasn't clear. He was on government aid and working cash in hand as a waiter to make ends meet. It was then that Sacha made a deal with himself. 5 years. He'd give comedy 5 years to work, or he'd go to law school. The clock started ticking. After making various job applications, he got hired hosting a small cable TV show with a viewership of about 80 people, and he found an editor who was willing to help him try something. Before each live show, they'd go out and shoot a segment, then edit it in the hour before broadcast. One day, Sacha created a character, an early version of what would become Ali G. His name was Jocelyn Cheadle Hume, a wannabe hip-hop gangster from the suburbs. He grabbed a skateboard and went out to film.
So I've got a little costume and I've got a skateboard, and suddenly I see some other skateboarders. Shall I speak to those skateboarders? And he goes, yeah, why not? And so I speak to them. I go, oh yes, come on. I do some skateboarding tricks. They start laughing at me. They're going, you're whack, man. That's so crap. Who is this guy? And after about 3 minutes, I look at them. I go, hey, I'm just putting on a character. Oh. And they were surprised. And I realized, oh my God, they believed this performance. They believed this ridiculous character. Suddenly a tourist bus turned up and I looked at the director and I go, shall I? And he goes, nods. I jump on the tourist bus. He follows with the camera. I take over the microphone. I go, yo, this is Jocelyn Cheadle Hume. I start rapping. We go over London Bridge. We get off. I'm in a pub. I'm on the floor. I start breakdancing in the pub. They call the police. I escape from there, run down the street. I'm outside some huge corporation. I go inside. I go, I'm here to see my father. I'm Jocelyn Cheadle Hume. He's the CEO on the 4th floor. I go up to the 4th floor. They escort me out the building. And basically, I discovered this form of comedy, which was completely accidentally. I wish I could claim that I was really intelligent and tried to do it. But I discovered this form of being a real character interacting with real people.
After he got back to the studio, the editor cut the footage together and they aired it during the live show. Audiences loved it, but the head of the channel didn't.
And he says, listen, he said, if you do that again, you're fired. He goes, there's to be no interactions with real people ever again. And I thought, oh, I'm onto something.
From there, Sacha kept developing other characters. In 1995, Channel 4 hired him for small projects, and he spent the next few years refining the method, learning how to make real people believe his performances. Then in late 1998, the 11 o'clock show called. It was a new late-night comedy series on Channel 4 that was sharp, irreverent, and satirical. They wanted him as a correspondent, and the timing couldn't have been better. This was just 2 months before his 5-year deadline would have run out. Sacha pitched them a character, Ali G, a white suburban kid from Staines who dressed like a rapper and genuinely believed he was the voice of the streets. He wore a yellow tracksuit, oversized sunglasses, and a goatee. He looked absurd, but when Ali G interviewed people, something interesting happened. They believed he was real. He'd ask these outrageous questions, and people would just answer them seriously. The first segments aired in 1998, and the reaction was immediate.
Do you think porn stars should teach sex education in school? No. Why not?
Because I do not respect porn stars, as you say.
But they has more porn experience than anyone else.
Okay, but it's not the experience that I want for our country.
People thought it was hilarious. Within just a matter of months, Ali G became one of the most talked about things on British television. Then, in 1999, Sacha won the British Comedy Award for Best Male Comedy Newcomer. He'd figured it out. If you committed completely to a ridiculous character, people would buy it. And once they did, anything could happen. Ali G wasn't just a character. He was proof the method worked. And Sacha was only just getting started. After his success on the 11 o'clock show, Channel 4 decided to give Sacha his very own show, The Ali G Show. The show premiered in 2000, and it was a hit. Ali G would interview everyone from politicians to celebrities, asking all types of nutty questions. But it wasn't just him. Sacha had introduced 2 other characters on the show that he'd been developing. The first was Brüno, a gay Austrian fashion reporter with bleached blonde hair and tight leather outfits, who pushed people's boundaries around sexuality and vanity. He'd expose the superficiality of the fashion world and get people to reveal their homophobia. The second was Borat, a clueless reporter from Khazakstan who was openly racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic. The character spoke in broken English mixed with Hebrew, wore a cheap grey suit, and had a thick mustache. He looked like he'd just wandered off a bus from 1970s Eastern Europe. He could say the most appalling things about women, Jews, and gay people, and his interview subjects would just nod along or try to politely correct him. Because they thought he was foreign, they'd excuse the behavior or explain things to him like he was a child. The Ali G Show ran for one season in the UK. It won a BAFTA for Best Comedy in 2001, and Ali G even appeared in Madonna's music video for her song Music that same year. In 2002, Sacha made his first feature film, Ali G in the House, but instead of the mockumentary format that had worked so well on TV, it was a scripted comedy with actors and a plot. Ali G becomes a member of parliament and foils a government conspiracy. The film got mixed reviews. It made money in the UK, but it didn't capture what made the TV show special. The lesson was clear. The magic wasn't just the character, it was the real people reacting to him. The format mattered. Not long after this, HBO came calling. They wanted to bring the Ali G Show to America, which meant a whole new audience who'd never heard of Sacha and his characters. For Sacha, this was perfect. His entire method depended on people not knowing the characters were fake. And in America, he could start fresh with millions of unsuspecting targets. The American version premiered in 2003 and ran for 2 seasons. Now, Sacha was interviewing American politicians and public figures who had no idea who he was.
I know this is a sensitive question, but what was it like not being the first man on the moon? Was you ever jealous of Louis Armstrong?
He was Neil Armstrong, and no, I was not jealous. He was a very, very qualified person. Yeah.
So, when you arrived on the moon, was the people who lived there very friendly, or was they scared of you?
There was absolutely no thought of encountering any living being whatsoever.
Do you think man will ever walk on the sun?
No. The sun is too hot. It is not a good place to go to.
What happens if they went in winter when the sun is cold?
The sun is not cold in the winter.
People would sit there and patiently explain things to him, like they were talking to someone who was genuinely slow. That's what made it so funny. But not everyone fell for it completely. When Ali G interviewed Donald Trump and pitched him a business idea, Trump was polite but clearly suspicious.
What is the most popular thing in the world?
Music.
No.
Tell me.
Ice cream.
Okay.
Everyone has it. And what is the problem with ice cream?
I have no idea.
It drips.
Okay.
So my idea is what?
To make a drip-proof ice cream.
No. Oh, that's a fucking brilliant idea, this. All right, whatever. You ain't gonna come out with that, though.
No, I promise you I will.
Well, my idea is to come out with just like these ice cream gloves that make the ice cream not go on your hands and make it all well sticky. And also keep your hands warm when you is eating the ice cream.
Okay.
Is you win or is you win?
Okay, well, it sounds like a good idea, and I hope you make a lot of money. Good luck, folks. It's been nice seeing you. You take care of yourself, okay?
Well, is you going to be in on that?
Well, it sounds like an interesting...
We've got like P. Diddy is going to be in it.
Good.
Even that brief engagement was enough. A few minutes of someone humoring Ali G was all it took to make a great segment. By 2004, Ali G had become so popular in America that Harvard University invited him to give the class day speech to their graduating class. The character had become a cultural phenomenon. Students loved him, and the university wanted someone entertaining and unconventional. This was one of the most prestigious speaking slots at one of the world's top universities, and they chose Ali G.
I look out and I see thousands of people with different hopes. But it's important never to forget where you come from. Because black, white, brown or Pakistani, we all comes from the same place, the Punani. God bless. Big up yourself, Princeton. Keep it real. West Side.
This was a defining moment in Sacha's career, but it also revealed a problem. His characters were becoming too famous. More and more, people were recognizing him, and every person who recognized him was one less person he could ever fool with that character again. He'd learned from Ali G in the House that the mockumentary format was essential. That's what made people's reactions feel real. But that format only worked if people didn't know who he was. And every day, he was losing more potential subjects. Sacha realized he had a narrow window. He needed to do something big before that window closed completely. So he took his biggest swing yet.
My name is Borat. I like you. I like sex. It's nice.
Borat hit theaters in November 2006, and it was unlike anything audiences had seen before. The film followed Borat, Kazakhstan's sixth most famous man, as he traveled across America with his producer, Azamat Bagatov. The official reason was to make a documentary about American culture, but the real reason was different. Borat had fallen in love with Pamela Anderson after watching Baywatch, and was driving across the country to California to marry her.
This CJ was like no Kazakh woman I had ever seen. For the first time in my life, I was in love.
Along the way, he encountered real people in real situations who had no idea they were being filmed for a comedy. The film opened with Borat introducing his village in Kazakhstan, which was portrayed as a backwards place where everyone was poor, ignorant, and openly anti-Semitic. In one scene called The Running of the Jew, people dressed as Jewish caricatures were chased through the streets. Borat introduced his neighbors, showed off his modest home, and greeted everyone with enthusiasm, calling everything very nice or great success. It was absurd and offensive, but also hilarious.
I go to America!
By this point, Borat had already become famous from the HBO show. In major cities and coastal areas, people knew who he was, but there were still parts of America, particularly the rural Deep South, where HBO wasn't widely watched. That's where Sacha and his crew decided to film. Locations included South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, and Mississippi. The crew would set up interviews under false pretenses, telling people they were filming a documentary for Kazakh television. Then Borat would show up, like when he visited a car dealership and asked the salesman,
If this car drive into a group of gypsy, will there be any damage to the car?
It depends on how hard you hit him and all that. It's hard to say.
The salesman just kept answering Borat's questions, completely straight-faced, even when Borat asked how fast he'd have to drive to guarantee he gets a kill.
Let me tell you something. With this vehicle here, probably doing 35, 40 miles an hour would do it.
Or when Borat met with an etiquette coach in Birmingham, Alabama, to learn proper American manners. During the lesson, he pulled out explicit images of male genitalia, asking if this was appropriate. The teacher, Kathy Martin, tried to remain professional and help him anyway.
I'm not sure I would show these photos of him without clothes on.
Then there was the dinner party scene. Borat attended an upscale southern dinner where he made crude comments about the female guests before eventually going to the toilet and coming back with a bag of his own feces.
Cindy, where shall I put this?
Every scene pushed boundaries, and every interaction was a gamble. The crew never knew if people would play along, walk out, or turn hostile. But the most infamous scene didn't involve any unsuspecting Americans. It was just Borat and Azamat. Midway through the road trip, Borat discovered that Azamat had been masturbating to a photo of Pamela Anderson. The two got into a massive fight in their hotel room, completely naked, wrestling, punching, and crashing through furniture. They spilled out into the hallway, still totally nude, past horrified hotel guests, and eventually ended up in a conference room where a mortgage brokers convention was taking place. It was absolutely unhinged, and it became one of the film's most talked about scenes. When the movie was released, it became a sensation. Borat made $262 million worldwide on an $18 million budget. Critics loved it, and audiences quoted it endlessly. But behind the scenes, the production had been chaos. According to Sacha, the police were called to their sets about 45 times during filming. The crew faced constant threats of arrest and violence. During the rodeo scene, Borat was invited to sing the national anthem to a crowd of thousands. He started by praising America and the war in Iraq, and the crowd cheered.
May George Bush drink the blood of every single man, woman, and child of Iraq.
Then he started mocking them by singing an offensive song to the tune of the Star-Spangled Banner, and the crowd turned hostile. Sacha wore a bulletproof vest under his costume for that shoot, because the producers genuinely feared someone might try to shoot him. But the danger wasn't just coming from the people Borat was filming. At one point, the FBI started following them. Reports had been flooding in about a suspicious Middle Eastern man driving around America in an ice cream van. This was only a few years after 9/11, and people were nervous. The FBI compiled a file on the production and eventually came to the hotel where the crew was staying. Sacha had to disappear before they could question him. The method was brilliant, but it came at a cost. The crew was exhausted, the legal team was constantly putting out fires, and Sacha was pushing himself to the limit, spending hours in character, dealing with angry crowds, and never knowing if the next person he talked to would try to hurt him. Eventually, Borat made it to California. He found Pamela Anderson at a book signing, and in the film's climax, tried to kidnap her by throwing a bag over her head. Security intervened, and Borat's dream was shattered. He returned to Kazakhstan with Lunel, a prostitute he'd befriended along the way, and married her. But while audiences laughed at Borat's journey, not everyone found it funny when the film came out. The film's opening scenes showing Borat's village in Kazakhstan weren't actually filmed in Kazakhstan. They were shot in Glod, a Roma village in Romania. The villagers were told they were part of a documentary about rural poverty and were paid roughly $3 to $5 each. They had no idea what the film was actually about. When the movie came out, they were furious. The film portrayed them as backwards and primitive. One man was introduced as the village rapist, another as a mechanic who performed illegal abortions. The villagers felt humiliated and exploited. Two of them sued Sacha and 20th Century Fox for $30 million. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed, but Fox donated $5,000 to the village, plus some equipment as a gesture of goodwill. Kazakhstan's government was also furious. They called the film offensive and damaging to their country's reputation. They shut down Borat's website, which used a Kazakh domain, and their foreign ministry even threatened to sue. Kazakhstan launched a multi-million-dollar Heart of Eurasia PR campaign to counter the film's portrayal of their country, running ads in the New York Times and commercials on CNN. Sacha responded by showing up at the Kazakhstan embassy in Washington, D.C. in character as Borat, right as Kazakhstan's president was visiting the U.S. on a state trip. He held a press conference outside the embassy, responding directly to their PR campaign.
I would like to make a comment on the recent advertisements on television and in media about my nation of Kazakhstan, saying that women are treated equally and that all religions are tolerated. These are disgusting fabrications.
He blamed the ads on the evil nitwits of Uzbekistan. And when Kazakhstan's press secretary, Roman Vasilenko, tried to defend his country's reputation in interviews, Borat had a response for that too.
There is a man named Roman Vasilenko who is claiming to be press secretary of Kazakhstan. Please do not listen to him. He is Uzbek imposter.
Borat's guerrilla press conference attracted more journalists than Kazakhstan's official embassy ceremony. And to top it off, after the press conference, Borat attempted to deliver a movie screening invitation to President Bush at the White House.
Okay, I will give my invitation to Premier George Walter Bush. Which way is it?
The White House is that way. That way.
He was turned away at the gate, but the stunt was already a success. Kazakhstan had spent millions on a PR campaign to repair their image, sent their president on a state visit to Washington, and held an official embassy ceremony. And all of it was completely overshadowed by a comedian in a cheap suit pretending to be a Kazakh reporter. But while Sacha was winning the PR war with Kazakhstan, serious legal trouble was brewing in the US. Two fraternity brothers from the University of South Carolina sued, claiming they were told the footage would only air in Kazakhstan and that they were given alcohol before filming to get them to say racist and sexist things.
It's the fucking hoes, baby! The fucking girls! You the shit out of them!
Yeah!
And then you never call them again!
Are women your slaves in Russia?
No. Do you have slaves here?
No slaves.
No slaves.
Michael Sinitska, a Baltimore driving instructor, sued for $100,000, saying he'd been told he was participating in a documentary about immigrant integration, not a comedy where Borat would drive on the wrong side of the road and offer women money for sexy time.
A woman has a right to choose who she has sex with.
What?
Kathy Martin, the etiquette coach from Birmingham, also sued for fraud and emotional distress after being shown explicit photos during their session. In total, Sacha was sued around 150 times over Borat.
I mean, at the moment, I think I have the Guinness World Record for the most sued actor in history.
But the lawsuits didn't stick. The release forms people signed were airtight. People had been disarmed by thinking they were participating in a real documentary for Kazakh television. The production looked professional and legitimate, so they didn't read the fine print. Legally, the releases were binding contracts, which meant almost every case was dismissed or settled quietly, and Kazakhstan's relationship with the film eventually took an unexpected turn. After years of outrage and PR campaigns, Kazakhstan realized something. Borat had actually increased tourism. People wanted to visit the country that had been so outrageously portrayed. Eventually, the Kazakh government softened its stance and even invited Sacha to visit. And despite all the chaos, all the lawsuits, and all the controversy, Borat was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. Sacha won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. The film had proved that mockumentary comedy could work on a massive scale, and it cemented Sacha as one of the most daring comedians of his generation. But there was a problem. Now that Borat was a global icon, the character was effectively dead. You can't fool people with a character they recognize. So in late 2007, Sacha announced he was retiring Borat. After being in character for sometimes 14 hours a day, he said it felt like saying goodbye to a loved one. And Ali G was retired for the same reason. But Sacha wasn't done with undercover comedy yet. He still had one character left, Brüno, the gay Austrian fashionista. And after Borat's massive success, Universal greenlit a Brüno movie. In 2009, the film hit theaters. Like Borat, it followed Brüno conducting absurd interviews with real people who had no idea they were being set up. The Brüno shoot had its share of outrageous moments, but there was one scene that went further than anything Sacha had filmed before, a cage fight in Arkansas. In the film's story, Brüno had been trying everything to become famous in America. Fashion, celebrity interviews, activism, nothing worked. Then he realized, in America, controversy sells. So he rebranded himself as Straight Dave, a hyper-masculine ultimate fighter, and staged a cage match. His plan was simple: play the tough guy, then shock the homophobic crowd by making out with another man in the ring. The outrage would make him famous. The production set up an event in Fort Smith called Straight Dave's Man Slammin' Max Out. Ads on Craigslist and local print promised cage fighting, hot girls, $1 beer, and $5 admission. About 1,500 people showed up. The crowd included recently paroled prisoners, some with swastika tattoos. The production kept the $1 beer flowing all night, getting the crowd drunk and rowdier by the minute. When the production informed local police that two men would kiss during the event, the officers refused to provide security. They said they'd only come if audience members called in complaints, so the cast and crew were on their own. Before Sacha even walked out, he spent hours sitting in a trailer backstage, listening to the crowd get drunk and shout homophobic slurs. The atmosphere was building, and everyone on the crew could feel it. This wasn't going to be like the other stunts. Brüno, posing as Straight Dave, entered the cage and began riling up the crowd.
Let me hear you say straight pride! Straight pride! Straight pride! Straight pride!
Lutz, his traveling companion from earlier in the film, started heckling him from the crowd, and Brüno challenged him to come fight. Lutz climbed into the ring, and they started throwing punches. Then Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On began playing, and the two men stopped fighting and started kissing instead. Then they began stripping. The crowd erupted, beer cans flew through the air, garbage rained down, and then metal folding chairs started being hurled at the cage. Later, Sacha wrote about that night in Time magazine, saying, "Had I not ducked into a trapdoor and out an escape tunnel, I think the crowd would have beaten me senseless." Arkansas was the breaking point. He genuinely feared for his life, trapped in a cage with a crowd of 1,500 enraged people with no police protection. Years later, he admitted he'd been fairly traumatized by Brüno. He'd spent years living undercover, first as Borat, then as Brüno, constantly on edge and waiting for things to go wrong. It had all started to catch up with him, and he confessed that for about 6 months afterwards, whenever he heard a police siren, he would start to get tense because he'd been chased by the police so much. After Brüno, he vowed never to go undercover again. For the next few years, Sacha stayed away from anything dangerous. In 2010, he was offered a role that seemed perfect, playing Freddie Mercury in a biopic about the Queen frontman. Sacha looked the part. He brought in screenwriter Peter Morgan and pitched directors like David Fincher and Tom Hooper. He was committed to telling the real story, exploring all sides of Freddie's wild lifestyle. But the surviving members of Queen had script approval, and they wanted something very different.
The whole thing fell apart. The band, Queen, wanted to clean it up, and you wanted to get into the nitty-gritty, right?
Yes.
What does the nitty-gritty mean? Like, you wanted to get into his sex life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are amazing stories about Freddie Mercury. You know,
crazy.
The guy was wild. I mean, he was living an extreme lifestyle. That
debauchery.
I mean, there are stories of, I don't know what you call them, that little people. What is the technical term? Little people with, plates with cocaine on their heads walking around parties.
Sacha wanted to make an R-rated film that told the truth. Queen wanted a PG version. And it wasn't just that. They wanted Freddie to die halfway through, with the second half focused on how the band carried on and thrived. At that point, it was obvious. They weren't interested in telling Freddie's story. They wanted a tribute to Queen. So in 2013, Sacha walked away. The role eventually went to Rami Malek, who won an Oscar for it in 2019. Sacha's other projects in this period were pretty safe. He worked with Martin Scorsese on Hugo. He took on Thénardier in Les Mis. Then in 2012, he released The Dictator, a scripted comedy about a fictional North African tyrant. It was still unmistakably his style, in that it was outrageous and offensive. But this time, it was fully scripted. It had the shock factor, but not the danger, and that shift felt significant. The method that had defined his career seemed to be over. Then, in November 2016, Donald Trump was elected president.
I love this country. Thank you very much.
For Sacha, it wasn't just another election. A week after Trump's inauguration came the Muslim ban, an executive order restricting travel from several predominantly Muslim countries. The ban angered Sacha. He'd vowed never to go undercover again after Brüno, but watching what was happening in American politics, he felt he had to break that vow. Sacha believed Trump's presidency had changed something in America, that politicians and public figures were saying things out loud they used to keep quiet. His goal was simple: create characters people would trust, let them expose themselves on camera, and show what they were willing to say when they felt comfortable. In 2018, Sacha returned with a new Showtime series called Who is America? But this time, he wasn't playing Borat, Brüno, or Ali G. Those characters were too recognizable now. Instead, he created entirely new personas, hidden behind heavy prosthetics that took 6 hours to apply each morning. The main character was Colonel Aaron Morad, an Israeli anti-terrorism expert. There was also Billy Wayne Ruddick Jr., a right-wing conspiracy theorist, and several others. Each one was designed to infiltrate a different corner of American politics. The show's first episode opened with one of the most jaw-dropping segments of Sacha's career. As Colonel Morad, he sat down with actual sitting members of Congress and prominent gun rights activists. He pitched them a program called Kinderguardians, an initiative to provide firearms training to children.
We train them from the age 16 down to the age 3.
Yeah, well, I think it would be a good idea.
Gun rights activist Philip Van Cleve helped create a training video featuring cartoon Gunimals, guns disguised as stuffed animals. The segment was designed to expose how far the gun lobby would go. After this, Sacha had politicians film promotional videos for the program. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, Senator Trent Lott, and others appeared on camera endorsing the idea, saying things like,
"A 3-year-old cannot defend itself from an assault rifle by throwing a Hello Kitty pencil case at it."
In another segment, Sacha convinced Georgia State Representative Jason Spencer that he needed to learn how to defend against terrorists. As part of the training, Spencer dropped his pants, chased Sacha around the room, ass first, and ran around screaming racial slurs.
Nigga! Nigga! Nigga!
The footage was so damaging that Spencer resigned from office just days after the episode aired. Then there was Dick Cheney. Sacha, still as Colonel Morad, convinced the former vice president to sign a waterboarding kit. Cheney signed it with a smile.
That's the first time I've ever signed a water bottle used for waterboarding.
Who is America aired 7 episodes in summer 2018. The ratings were modest, about 327,000 viewers on TV, though the numbers jumped to over 1 million when streaming was included. But the viral clips reached far more people. The Kinderguardian segment exploded online, as did Jason Spencer's segment, and many others. The show had worked. Sacha had gotten some of the most powerful people in America to expose themselves on camera, but it was also clear this kind of work was getting harder. In one incident during filming, the crew told a gun store owner they were making a documentary about a Hungarian immigrant wanting to buy a gun, but the owner recognized Sacha immediately and kicked him out.
He comes in, off the bat, you can see in the video, I'm looking, I'm like, this guy does not look like a Hungarian immigrant. Tight leather pants, a beard, it just didn't fit.
But he says it's what Cohen said after that handshake that really blew his cover.
I want to buy a gun. Like that, talking like that. And I just kept looking at the guy and I was like, you're Borat. As soon as I said that, his eyes just looked at me like, and he did a B-turn right out the door. We're talking to the people, they don't want to give us an answer. We basically told them, get the out. You know, you guys are all full of have a great day, get out. Once I knew it was Borat, we already know his game and his so we knew that he's here to make a mockery. And make a mockery of what? Gun owners? The gun business, gun shops. He was fake, the producers were fake, the show is fake, and Showtime is fake, to be honest with you. They want a real story? Come talk to us.
After Who is America wrapped, Sacha went quiet again. Then in 2020, the world shut down. COVID-19 hit and film production everywhere ground to a halt. But through the chaos, Sacha saw an opportunity. With everyone stuck at home and the 2020 presidential election approaching, he decided to bring back his most famous character. After 14 years, Borat was coming back. But this time, the stakes were different. Borat had become a global phenomenon. Everyone knew who he was. Sacha couldn't just walk into a room in a grey suit and a mustache anymore. People would recognize him instantly. So he came up with a solution. He'd wear disguises. It was Sacha playing Borat, playing other people.
People make recognize my face. I would need disguises.
The film was called Borat's subsequent movie film. It was shot in secret during the summer of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. Like the first film, Borat traveled across America, encountering real people in real situations. But this time, he had a co-star, Maria Bakalova, playing his 15-year-old daughter, Tutar. The plot followed Borat's mission to deliver Tutar as a gift to Mike Pence, Trump's vice president. Along the way, the film exposed COVID conspiracy theorists and the political chaos of 2020. And just like before, Sacha was walking into chaotic situations with no idea how people would react. One of the most dangerous scenes in the movie happened at a gun rights rally in Washington state. Sacha, dressed as a bluegrass singer, performed on stage in front of a crowd that included members of the 3 Percenters, a far-right militia group. Some in the crowd were armed. He started singing a song called The Wuhan Flu. The lyrics were deliberately offensive, talking about injecting Barack Obama with the virus and chopping up journalists like the Saudis do. In the film, the crowd is shown singing along enthusiastically.
Dr. Fauci, what we gonna do? Inject him with Wuhan flu. Inject him with Wuhan flu.
But what the movie didn't show was what happened next. A Black Lives Matter protester in the crowd recognized Sacha through his disguise, and word spread. The organizers realized they'd been tricked. People started storming the stage, and one person even reached for their gun before security stepped in. Sacha, who was wearing a bulletproof vest under his costume, ran to a waiting ambulance nearby. The angry mob chased him, banging on the vehicle and trying to pull open the doors.
Hold it. Go. Right.
He barely made it out of there unharmed. Then there was the Rudy Giuliani scene. Maria Bakalova, posing as a journalist, interviewed Rudy Giuliani, who at the time was Donald Trump's personal lawyer. The interview took place in a hotel room. After the interview, Giuliani followed Bakalova into the bedroom. He told her to give him her phone number and address. Then he sat on the bed, and she helped him remove his microphone. Then Giuliani lay back on the bed and reached into his pants. At that moment, Sacha burst into the room.
Put down your crumb. She's 15. She's too old for you.
Why are you dressed like
She's my daughter. Please, take me instead.
Giuliani later claimed he was just tucking in his shirt, but others saw it differently. The scene became one of the most talked about moments of the film. Borat's subsequent movie film was released on Amazon Prime on October 23, 2020, just 11 days before the election. Amazon paid a reported $80 million for the rights. The film was a hit. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actress for Maria Bakalova and Best Adapted Screenplay for Sacha and his co-writers. The timing was deliberate. Sacha wanted the film out before people voted. But 2020 wasn't just about Borat. That same year, Sacha appeared in Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of the Chicago 7, a Netflix film about the 1968 Democratic National Convention protests. He played Abby Hoffman, one of the activists on trial.
Do you have contempt for your government?
I'll tell you, Mr. Schultz, it's nothing compared to the contempt my government has for me.
The film was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and Sacha earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor. 2020 had been a huge year. 2 films, multiple nominations, and both undercover comedy and serious drama. But since then, Sacha's career has slowed down dramatically. He's only appeared in 3 projects in the last 5.5 years, voicing Uncle Ugo in Pixar's Luca, a supporting role in Apple TV's Disclaimer, and a brief appearance as Mephisto in Marvel's Ironheart. And the undercover work, that's finished for good. The Washington gun rally was the final straw. In his own words, he was fortunate to make it out in one piece. He had a wife and 3 kids at home, and at 49 years old, he realized he couldn't keep risking his life for comedy. He chose stability over chaos, and for a moment, it looked like he'd found it. But sadly, it didn't last. In April 2024, Sacha and his wife Isla Fisher announced their divorce with an Instagram post. They could be seen in tennis whites, smiling, with the caption, "After a long tennis match lasting over 20 years, we are finally putting our rackets down." They'd been one of Hollywood's most private couples, and even in divorce it stayed that way. They gave no concrete reason for their split, but it marked the end of a 13-year marriage. So where is Sacha now? He's 54 years old, back on the dating market, and in the best shape of his life, recently even appearing on the cover of Men's Fitness. He has a Netflix comedy called Ladies First coming out with Rosamund Pike, and another project called Super Toys with Keke Palmer in pre-production. But other than that, things are pretty quiet. The reality is, Sacha's legacy is already made. For 25 years, he played characters that pushed the boundaries of comedy and repeatedly exposed people's prejudices and hypocrisies. He wasn't afraid to offend people or make them uncomfortable. He took the genre further than most thought possible. In an age where comedy is constantly policed and sanitized, he never apologized and never backed down. After all the danger, the lawsuits, and the chaos, he's earned the right to kick his feet up. Because one thing's for sure, there will never be another Sacha Baron Cohen.